January 12, 2026, Apple and Google just announced something that sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. Google's Gemini AI will now power the next generation of Siri, the brain inside 1.5 billion iPhones. Within hours, Elon Musk fired back with a warning. This seems like an unreasonable concentration of power for Google. Most people think he's complaining about business competition. He's not. He's pointing to something far more dangerous, something that affects every single iPhone user on Earth, and almost nobody is talking about it. Let me show you what he saw. Here's what actually happened. On January 12th, Apple and Google released a joint statement. Apple and Google have entered into a multi-year collaboration where the next generation of Apple Foundation models will be based on Google's Gemini models and cloud technology. Translation: Apple is abandoning its own AI and using Google's instead. Here are the facts. The price tag. Apple will pay Google $1 billion per year. Multi-year contract. That's more than most countries' GDP. The technology. Google is building a custom 1.2 trillion parameter Gemini model for Apple. Apple's current model, 150 billion parameters. That's an 8 times increase in AI capability. What it powers? The new Siri launching in March 2026. Apple Intelligence across iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, Vision Pro. Every Apple device you own. But here's what makes this different from any tech deal in history. Google doesn't just get to power Siri. Google's AI becomes the foundation, the base layer, the thing that understands everything you say and do. And that's where Elon's warning gets terrifying. Let's break down exactly what Elon said. His exact words. This seems like an unreasonable concentration of power for Google, given that they also have Android and Chrome. Everyone thinks he's talking about market share. He's not. Let me show you what he actually saw. Google's current control. Android. 72.7% of all smartphones worldwide, over 3 billion devices. Google Assistant built into every single one. Chrome, 67% of all web browsers on Earth, 3.8 billion users. Every website you visit, every form you fill out, every search you make, Google sees all of it. And now, iPhone AI, 1.5 billion devices, Gemini as the foundation model, processing your Siri requests, your calendar queries, your email summaries, your entire digital life. Do the math with me. 3 billion Android users, 3.8 billion Chrome users, 1.5 billion iPhone users. That's not 5 billion people. Some people use all three. But here's the critical number. Over 95% of all smartphone users worldwide are now connected to Google's AI systems in some way. That's 4.5 billion humans, 60% of everyone alive on this planet. But here's what makes this different from just market dominance. Google doesn't just have these platforms. Google's AI now understands the users across all of them. Think about what that means. Android users. Google knows their apps, contacts, locations, search history, photos, messages. Chrome users. Google knows their browsing habits, shopping patterns, financial transactions, interests. iPhone users. New. Google's AI will now process their Siri requests, understand their emails, analyze their photos, track their locations. For the first time in human history, one AI system can compare and analyze human behavior across different operating systems, different devices, different countries, different income levels, different political views. This isn't a monopoly on products. This is a monopoly on understanding humanity. And here's the scariest part. Previous tech monopolies controlled things. Maybell controlled phone lines. Microsoft controlled operating systems. Google's search controlled information access. But Google's AI now has insight into how people make decisions before they make them, what they need before they ask for it, what influences their purchasing, their voting, their health choices. That's not market dominance. That's cognitive dominance over the human species.
Now, Apple promises your data stays private. Let's examine that claim, because this is where things get complicated. Apple's privacy architecture. Step 1. On-device processing. Simple requests like set a timer or call mom stay on your iPhone. Data never leaves your device. This is truly private, no question. Step 2. Private cloud compute. Complex requests that need more power. Example, summarize my emails from my boss this week. Here's what happens. Your iPhone sends the request to Apple's private cloud compute. Data processed on Apple Silicon servers. Results returned to your device. Data immediately deleted. Apple's guarantees, data not stored, used only to fulfill request, not accessible to Apple. Independent experts can verify. Now, technically, Apple is telling the truth. The Gemini model runs on Apple servers. Google doesn't get your raw data. Google can't see your individual requests. So where's the problem? Here's what Apple can't promise. What the AI model learns from processing millions of requests. What patterns emerge from aggregate data. What behavioral insights Google gains from model improvements. Let me explain with an example. Imagine you ask Siri, should I buy a house this year? For Gemini to answer personally, it needs to understand your income from email confirmations and Apple Pay transactions, your savings from banking app data, your location from Maps history, your life stage from calendar events, photos, and health data, your relationship status from contacts, messages. Now, Apple sends an anonymized query to Gemini. User profile, age range 28 to 32. Income $80,000 to $120,000. Location, San Francisco. Has partner, no kids. Rents apartment. Question, should user buy house? Google's promise, we don't store individual user data. But here's what they can do. Google uses aggregated insights to improve Gemini. Users aged 28 to 32 in San Francisco with income 80 to 120K typically ask about home buying in Q1 when they have partners but no kids. Now, multiply this across 1.5 billion iPhone users. Google doesn't need your name. Google has the behavioral patterns of an entire civilization. Think of it like this. Google doesn't need to know your name to know you. It's like if I told you, there's a 32-year-old woman in San Francisco who makes $95,000, rents an apartment, has a partner, no kids, and just searched for mortgage calculators for the first time. Do I need her name to sell her home hunting services? Do I need her email to know she's about to make the biggest purchase of her life? No, I have her behavior. And behavior is more valuable than identity. That's what Google just got access to. Not your name, your patterns. The difference? Your individual privacy protected. Humanity's collective behavioral patterns analyzed and trained into Gemini. Apple protects the tree, Google maps the forest. So what does this actually mean for you? Let me give you real examples. Scenario 1. Health decisions. You start tracking your menstrual cycle in Apple Health. You search fertility clinics near me in Safari. You add doctor appointment to calendar. 2 weeks later, Siri suggests Pregnancy test kits are on sale at Target. Is that helpful or is that invasive? Scenario 2, financial stress. You're using the calculator app more than usual, checking your bank app repeatedly, searching best interest rates and debt consolidation. Your calendar shows fewer social events. Health app shows elevated stress levels. Gemini detects a pattern: financial distress. Beat. 2 months later, you see ads for debt consolidation services, financial advisors, budget apps, credit repair. Pause. Did Apple sell your data? No. Did Google's AI learn to recognize financial stress patterns across millions of users? Yes. Scenario 3, relationship trouble. Messages to mom increase by 300%. Messages to your partner decrease by 80%. Calendar shows more individual activities. Photos app shows more solo pictures. Health app shows stress indicators, poor sleep. AI pattern recognition, relationship problems. Beat. Suddenly, you see ads for therapists, divorce lawyers, dating apps, self-help books. Long pause. But here's the scenario that really should make you think. Scenario 4, the creepy one. You ask Siri, what should I get my wife for her birthday? Gemini analyzes. Recent photos show weight loss. Health app shows new workout routine started 3 months ago. Maps shows frequent visits to fitness studio. Messages contain conversations about feeling better and new confidence. Apple Pay shows purchases of new clothes, smaller sizes. Siri's AI-powered suggestion. Based on her recent fitness journey, she might love these workout leggings or a spa day package. Pause. You think, wow, Siri is so helpful. But here's what just happened. An AI analyzed your wife's body, habits, emotions, and insecurities to sell products. Beat. And you thought you asked for help. That's not artificial intelligence. That's artificial intimacy. And it knows your family better than you do. Beat. Now, is this helpful personalization based on your needs? Or is it behavior prediction that crosses a line? The difference matters. Because once the AI understands you this well, does it matter if they store your data? They've already mapped your mind.
Let me put this in historical perspective, because this has happened before, just never at this scale. 1982, AT&T broken up. Reason, controlled all phone infrastructure, could listen to any call. Government said, too much power over communications. 1998, Microsoft sued. Reason, controlled 97% of PC operating systems, bundled Internet Explorer unfairly. Government said, monopolistic practices. 2024, Google declared a monopolist. Reason, 90% of search engine market, anti-competitive practices. Government said, illegal monopoly. But here's what makes this different from all those previous monopolies. Mabel controlled communication. Microsoft controlled computers. Google Search controlled information access. Google's AI now controls how machines understand humans. It has insight into how 4.5 billion people make decisions, what they need before they know they need it, what influences their choices across every aspect of life, how behavior differs across cultures, countries, devices. Facebook was fined $5 billion for privacy violations. They had data on 2.9 billion users. Google now has AI that understands behavior patterns across 4.5 billion users. That's 60% of everyone alive on Earth. And unlike Facebook, which just stored your data, Google's AI understands it. There's a difference between having a library card and having read every book in the library. Google just read every book. Let me put this in historical perspective, because this has happened before, just never at this scale. 1982, AT&T broken up. Reason,
controlled all phone infrastructure, could listen to any call. Government said, too much power over communications. 1998, Microsoft sued. Reason? Controlled 97% of PC operating systems, bundled Internet Explorer unfairly. Government said, monopolistic practices. 2024, Google declared a monopolist. Reason? 90% of search engine market, anti-competitive practices. Government said, illegal monopoly. 2026, Google's AI powers 95% of smartphones. Government response? Silence. No regulatory action. No antitrust investigation. Just a $1 billion business deal. But here's what makes this different from all those previous monopolies. Maybell controlled communication. Microsoft controlled computers. Google Search controlled information access. Google's AI now controls how machines understand humans. It has insight into how 4.5 billion people make decisions, what they need before they know they need it, what influences their choices across every aspect of life, how behavior differs across cultures, countries, devices. Facebook was fined $5 billion for privacy violations. They had data on 2.9 billion users. Google now has AI that understands behavior patterns across 4.5 billion users. That's 60% of everyone alive on Earth. And unlike Facebook, which just stored your data, Google's AI understands it. There's a difference between having a library card and having read every book in the library. Google just read every book.